Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us for another session. Today we have with us somebody who is actually similar name to myself, Muhammad Saad. He's a data scientist, worked with the big three in the past, and then moved on to another relatively newer company as a data scientist capacity. So, without having to give any more introduction from my side, let's just get started. So, Saad, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting me. So my journey in data science started from in Canada when I entered into Canada back in 2019, Jan, when I started my master's from University of Waterloo. During my master's, I was in research-based programs, so I was working for Loblaw during that time period, and that's where I was completely involved with how insightful data can be and how what it really can drive, how it basically can drive the business. So post that graduation, I joined Lake Software, and then I worked my way towards Loblaw, BCG, and currently I'm working in Pinpoint as a data scientist.
So you came to do your master's in from Waterloo, in specifically which
Yes.
degree?
So my master's was in electrical and computer engineering, with the specialization in data science.
Okay. So how was your experience as because you've been here through the whole process of transition. A lot of people come in directly looking for jobs, or so you transition from a student into the workforce, right? So how was that experience, and do you think at the university helped you in your transition into the workforce?
Yeah, so there are multiple things. So first of all, there was a cultural shock. I would call it because prior to coming to Canada, I was working in Philip Morris back in Pakistan. So there was a difference in how the work culture is in both of these two countries. That's one thing. The other thing was that how basically the things operate in Canada. So that was a difference altogether over there. However, so in those all of those things, I made mistakes throughout my time, and then the university also helped us out in terms of this transition. So all in all, these two things basically worked in order to help us out.
So just one more question on this university selection, because a lot of students do that, and so they either have to decide between UFT sometimes if you are coming to a good school, or Waterloo. Waterloo is a little bit away from the hardcore Toronto area. So in that sense, you think Waterloo is a better option, or I won't say better option, but how did it work out for you rather than taking up an option as UFT, which was in the center of Toronto?
Uh, so honestly, with the field which I was basically going towards, that was more of a like irrespective of what the location. So because I was going to do the IT industry overall, so that was irrespective of the location. My main goal or while selection was how well the organization or how well the education institution is in terms of like the employability perspective, and how well are they in terms of like in terms of their overall ranking. Waterloo had a really good co-op program, which and they had a lot of good collaboration with the industries overall. So that's what motivated me towards applying to Waterloo rather than U of T.
Interesting. But I know you did not go through the whole bachelor degree path over here, but in your limited, or from what you have seen in the education institution, would you recommend individuals to come at the bachelor's, like to pursue their bachelor's in Canada, or should they come at the master's level?
Uh, that's a tough thing to answer. So I mean, I would say it really is dependent upon the industry itself. So, so for example, if I talk about software development, like for example, if I talk about that in the software field, what's really important is how well you are accustomed to the industry, or in the words, how much experience you have. In those scenarios, having a co-op experience would be a really beneficial thing. Now, co-op is only available in the bachelor's rather than in the master's program. So in that perspective, I would say the bachelor's is much more fruitful. But that also comes with an added cons, which are like financials and all those kind of things, if considering if you're an international student. So that's another thing. But if you're going with the other fields, that I'm not really 100% sure about that, but maybe the masters might be much more fruitful in those kind of areas.
So in the field of data science, for anybody who's planning to enter into that, what is a good entry point at this point in time if they were to pursue this, and what is the nature of work that they are likely to come up and face as they progress through the ranks?
Yeah, so in terms of data science, so how the hierarchy really works in data science is that you start off with a normal data analyst or data scientist, a junior data scientist, where you basically are exposed to primary sort of data modeling and all those kind of things. As you climb up the ladder, you are given much more responsibilities in two perspectives. The one perspective is managing the team, and the second is to have what I would want to call it, to have a much more business acumen, that if a certain result is coming out from the model, how would that translate to business profits and business related things. So that's where it happens. So as you move up the ladder, those kind of perspectives comes into play more.
So in your day-to-day, are you running SQL queries, or what are you doing on your day-to-day?
So I would say that in most of my day-to-day activities, it's like towards driving so creating models and then providing the recommendations on top of that. So that involve obviously running SQL queries to capture all the data, running all the Python libraries and all those kind of things, so in order to get the results from the ML machine learning models and all that. So yeah, so those are my typical day-to-day kind of roles.
Perfect. Interesting. Thank you. And just one last question for you, Saad, and that is that for those people who are recently moving to Canada, or who's just arrived here and looking for a profession to pursue, if you would recommend data science for them, what are the first 3 steps that you would recommend if they were to be able to transition into the field?
Yeah, so if they are supposed to transition to data science, and right now my assumption is that they have no idea about Python, they don't have any prior knowledge about data science altogether. In those kind of scenarios, my first go-to point would be to first of all understand that field itself and whether that entices them or not. Many of the people enter into software, but they don't like that. Same goes for data science as well. So first of all, study that field, try to see that whether that is something which is appealing to you or not. So that's my first thing. The second thing is towards learning to the core skills, which are the coding and the normal machine learning and the mathematics behind all of that. So those are the key, I would say, core skills that needs to be learned in. And that can be acquired honestly via the online courses which are readily available today. And the third and the foremost is to basically do some projects, some real world projects that would basically expose them towards how the data is and what things can be driven from the data. So those would be the three.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Saad, for your time. And
Thank you so
we'll
much.
delve into more deeper discussions sometime later. But thank you so much for taking the time out.
For sure, for sure.
Take care.
Thank you.